participating in Dry January, myself included, a public health campaign urging people to cut alcohol for the entire month.
Yeah, besides health benefits, there's also a mental component to this. Dry January can help people realize the role alcohol plays in their lives. So joining us this morning is Amanda Kuda. She is a holistic life coach who wants to change the conversation about giving up alcohol from a non-recovery perspective. Amanda, thanks so much for being with us here on Pix 11.
Thank you for having me.
Well, as you heard, Dan was saying that he's taking part in Dry January, but like we're saying, everybody has a different reason for doing it. Your practice, you talk a lot about what's called a gray area of drinking. Can you explain what that is exactly and why it can be unhealthy?
Absolutely. So most people in America drink in the gray area. We have people who drink every now and then, maybe a glass of champagne at a wedding or something on vacation. And then we have people who we recognize as problematic drinkers who are maybe drinking at the addicted level. But then there's everyone in between, and that's the gray area. And so often that's a confusing place because there's nothing that tells us we should cut back. Every message that we get says, oh, you're normal, keep doing what you're doing. But right now there's a new paradigm that's shifting that people in this gray area are realizing, oh, this doesn't make me feel good. I don't feel healthy. I'm not on the top of my A game. So I either want to cut back or quit. And so there's these new models for these types of people who don't really fall into the addiction spectrum.
Yeah, I call it a recalibration for myself, just to recalibrate and get myself back on track here. But I always get that questionnaire, right? And how many drinks do you have per day or per week? And it can be tricky because your lives and the way you drink could also change every single week. And our social lives revolve around alcohol, right? Even if we aren't heavily drinking, you got the happy hours and the social events, right? So what are some ways to kind of navigate a dry month when so much around us is saying, hey, have a drink?
Yeah. Well, my goal is to give you confidence, and confidence comes from commitments that you keep to yourself. So if you've set a goal, it's really important that you keep it. You keep that word to yourself. So my first tip would be to eliminate temptation. Dan, you said this might be your first successful Dry January. So I would say get any temptation that you have out of the way. Get it out of the house if you have booze around your place that you're tempted to drink, and just don't go around people or places that tempt you to imbibe.
Okay. Now you have other tips on what can you share with us about having this successful Dry January?
Absolutely. The second thing I would do is create a new routine. If you're a habitual drinker and you have a place or a way in which you kind of have a ritual around alcohol, I would say just go ahead and create a new routine. Instead of drinking, pouring a glass at night, have a glass of tea or take a bath or completely mix up your situation. If you are regularly meeting people for happy hour, instead switch up that routine and meet them in the morning for coffee or go for a walk. I would also say get rid of the buddy system. If you are trying to rely on one of your best friends to kind of be your accountability partner, the problem with that is then you are at the mercy of their willpower. And if they screw up, they are more than likely going to try and kind of pull you along with them so they don't feel as bad, even though they have your best interest at heart. And there are,
Go ahead.
Oh, and there are so many, for you, Dan, there are so many really awesome non-alcoholic beverage alternatives right now that you can try. No matter if you like spirit, wine, or beer, there is something out there that is almost a dead ringer for the real thing.
And he tried one. Just telling
I don't have a problem. Keep saying for me, I don't have a problem. But I enjoyed to indulge.
You're
a little
doing
bit.
Dry January.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And so I will say there has been a whole host of some mocktails that are out that are just fantastic that I didn't even see years ago that are out there now that you can buy. You yourself, you've been alcohol free for 5 years now. Some people just doing this, like I said, to recalibrate. But that's pretty cool. So what would you say are some of the biggest things you've learned in the past 5 years? I guess.
Oh, wow. I did this kind of like you, Dan. I was just planning on taking a month off to recalibrate. And I found that I felt so good that I wanted to keep going. I felt mentally resilient. I felt my creativity coming back online in a way that it hadn't before. I felt my confidence step up a level as I started to navigate things that I had always thought I needed alcohol to do. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I realized I am innately powerful and able to navigate all of these situations that I thought I needed a drink to kind of push me into.
Yeah, I actually don't drink that much, but it's only because of health reasons. I don't feel good. It doesn't make me feel great. So, but there is that kind of peer pressure, even as an adult, when you're surrounded by it, and it kind of goes back to what we were saying in the very beginning. So, what other things can we do if you are a non-drinker, just in general? When you're trying to encourage other people without seeming like you're, trying to be the bigger person.
Yeah. You know what? The thing that it really strikes me as a person who's been a non-drinker for 5 years is people care a lot less about what you're doing than you know. So I think just do what you're doing and be an example. You don't have to provide anyone an explanation for why you're not drinking. And in fact, a lot of people might not even notice, but we have this huge stigma around drinking. So we almost have this urge for our own security to tell other people that we're not. But if you don't say anything, usually people don't even realize it, but they realize that you're more confident. And that's the thing that strikes them.
I like that. And I like what you said about not the buddy system, because I find that it's really got to come from within. It can't come from anybody else. And I had a friend who said, oh, I want to get to go on a diet. And if you see me order a burger, tell me not to. Well, no, I don't want to tell you not to, because then I'm the bad guy telling you not to get a burger when I'll be eating a burger. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's got to come from within.
Absolutely.
Like
yeah, you just have to want to feel good, and that's how you will feel if you get alcohol out of your system for a while.
Very good. All right, Amanda, thank you so much for being here today and for explaining all of this. Appreciate your time. Happy New Year.
Absolutely.
Thanks
Take
for the
care.
motivation. Thanks, Amanda.